Hello and welcome back to another episode of The White Flag. I'm Camren Kerber alongside Aaron Self. How you doing, Aaron?
Hey Cam, doing good.
Nashville was pretty eventful, I would say.
Yeah, at the very least, what a Sunday at the very least. That was something.
Yeah, 5 overtimes. Yeah, we'll definitely dive into that one, but
for sure.
So, Nashville, I would say the truck series was a truck race.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. I mean, same guy led every lap, so.
Yeah. The Xfinity Series race was a little eventful as well. Only one caution for cause. Definitely not the case in the Cup Series, though.
Absolutely not.
No. So, well, we got some news to get into, so let's waste no time and let's jump straight into it.
Cool.
Well, Connor Zilisch is rumored to be joining Junior Motorsports. Reports suggest Trackhouse and Jr Motorsports are working out a deal to get Connor in one of their rides in 2025. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said back during the Coda episode, Connor's a great kid. He finds a lot of pace, no matter where he's at or who he drives for, and I think that he would definitely fit in an organization like Junior Motorsports, especially in an era and in a series where it seems like rookies find a lot of fast success. I mean, Love's already won a race. Hill won a couple races in his first season. Sammy Smith won a race in his rookie year. Ty Gibbs won like 4 or 5. So we're definitely in an era where rookies can definitely flourish with the right opportunity and compete for championships. And I definitely think Zilisch, a driver like Zilisch going to a place like JRM is no different. The big question would be, which seat he goes to. I mean, it kind of seems like, with where Sammy Smith is in points and the backing that he brings, they're going to want to keep him around for at least one more year. Allgaier is already locked in for at least another year, and with the fast success that Sam Mayer is kind of the way he's growing into kind of a serious talent, I would say that Brandon Jones, unfortunately, is probably on the hot seat. He's in the second year of his contract, the last year of his 2-year contract. Is on track, unfortunately, to not make the playoffs for a second year in a row. And in Jones's defense, I mean, he had big shoes to fill. I mean, Gragson won 8 races in 2022, so he had big shoes to fill. But it's a JRM car, and Jones is a proven winner, and he needed to answer the call, and he just hasn't. Unfortunately, it makes me sad. I'm a big Brandon Jones fan, but I could definitely see Connor Zilisch in the 9-ball next year if that comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think, as you said, I think Connor would be a huge talent joining Junior Motorsports, and I think this would probably be one of the biggest signings that Junior Motorsports has had since maybe William Byron. Just this young hotshot that's absolutely killing it. So, if you don't know Connor Zilisch, dude went on this year specifically, won the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona and IMSA, won the 12 Hours of Sebring as well. Kid's incredibly talented. So, On your point with the drivers that they currently got, I think you're right. I think it is going to be Brandon Jones, unfortunately. Brandon, as you said, had tremendous shoes to fill with Gragson, who, won 8 races, as you said, in 2022. But I think the thing that people seem to forget is this is not the same crew that pits and sets up the car that Brandon drives. The crew chief for the 9, when Noah Gragson was driving it, followed Noah to Cup. Now he's a Cup crew chief for Carson Hocevar. So it's not the same crew chief. And I believe most of the pit crew on that team, or at least a few of them, also followed him to Cup as well. So it's not the same crew. That does play a big factor as well. But the other thing is the kid, Brandon has some of the worst luck. You go back and look at
he really does.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
you go
not
back
all
and look
his
at
fault.
last year. No. I mean, you look at this year specifically, had a decent car and blew a motor at the end of stage 1.
In the year 2024. I mean, who's losing motors in this day and age? You don't see it. Yeah.
And I can't remember what race that was. I think it was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
Richmond.
I think it was Iowa. Yeah,
it was either Iowa or Richmond. I mean, they're basically the same track, so.
Yeah, pretty much. And then of course, he was running decent at Portland, got caught up in that wreck and totaled the car, and I mean, just about everything that could go wrong this season has gone wrong for Brandon Jones.
For sure.
So it's not entirely his fault. It's just a multitude of things that have kind of compiled, and it's unfortunate, but it is a business. So
yeah, and you know what? It's not too late. It's not too late for him to save the seat. He could turn around, go win 3 races this year, make a deep championship run, and renew his contract. It's not too late. So I mean, Gragson won. I mean, how many of his 8 races did he win in the playoffs last year? Wasn't it 4 or 5? Or like 3 or something like that.
He won Homestead. He won Texas, and he won Bristol. So that's 3.
That's 3.
That's really all you need.
That's really all you need.
Win once in every round, and you're going to Phoenix. So,
and you know what? That's really all you need to save your seat too. I mean, if you can be a 3-win guy every year, I mean, you're going to be solid for most every team you drive for. I don't think anyone, especially that brings the sponsorship he does, I don't think anyone's going to throw away a 3-win guy.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I think a lot of people seem to forget is if you go back to 2021 and you look at Noah Gregson's season, his season was really crappy for like the first 3/4 of the season. Noah Gragson didn't get his first win in 2021 until the fall Darlington race.
Yeah, he had a pretty long
win. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you were talking first. Go ahead.
So then he went on to win Richmond, and then won his way into the round of 4 at Phoenix by winning Martinsville. I mean, that's obviously it's 3 wins, but that's 3 super late wins. Only one race outside. I think one race outside the playoffs. That says a lot right there.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think he had I'm not a Gregson fan, so you'd have to correct me if I'm wrong. I think he had a pretty long winless streak, too, because if I'm remembering correctly, he won Daytona in 20, and that was his first win, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't think he won... Was that his only win that year?
No, he won Bristol in the spring.
Okay, yeah, but he didn't get any wins in the summer and the fall. So, yeah, he was on a pretty long winless streak.
Yeah, that was his only. Those were his only 2 wins of 2020.
That's what I thought, that he won a couple times early on in the season and then went winless until late 2021. So I mean, kind of a similar boat as Brandon. He won that Martinsville race, and a couple years ago in the spring, should have swept the races. I don't care who you ask, he should have swept those damn races.
Yeah, and I think everybody agrees on that one.
Yeah, and and then hasn't won since, and so maybe we see something out of Brandon Jones. He's got some tracks still on the schedule that he's really good at. We got Pocono still ahead of us. With how good he is at Pocono, you could maybe see him strive at a place like Indy now that they're back on the oval. We got another Darlington race ahead. JRM ran real good at Bristol until they all wrecked each other last time. So You know, that was still one of the most wild things I've ever seen. Is all the JRM cars wrecking in the same corner.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
so
mean, yeah, I mean that was Junior Motorsports 2023 right there. I mean, for whatever reason, they just couldn't stop wrecking each other.
Yeah.
So, well, here's some sad, huge news. Hendrick Motorsports confirms Hooters is no longer a partner of Hendrick Motorsports. The official statement says, quote, Hooters has been a valued partner of Hendrick Motorsports since 2017, contributing to our shared successes both on and off the track. In recent months, however, Hooters has not been able to meet its business obligations to our organization. Due to these unfortunate and unexpected circumstances, and despite extensive efforts on both sides to identify a workable solution, it became necessary for Hendrick Motorsports to end the relationship. It has been a privilege having Hooters as a part of our team, and we wish them the best. End quote. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it just sounds like a polite way of saying that there's no bad blood and they really tried to make it work, but it just sounds like a polite way of saying that Hooters can't cut the checks anymore. And, I don't think that's a big surprise. I mean, we've seen, whatever your moral thoughts are on the business and, what they do and kind of how their business is ran. I mean, you look at how many stores they've closed over the last 4 or 5 years and, you can really kind of read between the lines and, kind of just understand that chain is not doing well, and they might be on their way out the door here, and they can't afford to put forth the money that they used to be able to. And it sounds like Hendrick Motorsports tried to come to a compromise and find a number that worked for both of them, because they've been such a long-standing partner with the team and there was a lot of loyalty there. But it just sounds like they couldn't find a number that worked for both of them, and they had to let him go. It stinks. I'm sure, especially for you as an Elliott fan. Hooters is, they're not the biggest part of Chase's career, but we've had some iconic moments with him in Hooters cars, and it's become a part of that team. So it's unfortunate to see him go.
Yeah, I think, Hooters, when you dive deep and you look at Hooters in general, they've closed a lot of restaurants. From my research, they've closed 30 plus nationwide. That's a lot of stores, and obviously, I think when you look at that that's a lot of money that you're no longer getting. And to put your brand on a car is a lot of money in general, but
especially for a team like Hendrick.
Yeah. I mean, you're not talking a couple $100,000 like maybe
you're talking like million
car would do.
Yeah,
sorry,
you're talking like 7 figure. No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but I was just agreeing and saying, you're talking, 7-figure sponsorship deals with a team like that. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, 7-figure deals, it's not cheap, specifically when you look at it. This is NASCAR's most popular driver. So your name is going to be huge, and it's going to be, put on the limelight a lot. So it's very expensive. It sucks that came to an end, but the good news is, as a Chase Elliott fan myself, they did go out on top. They did win their final season together earlier this year at Texas. So,
they were on the car at Texas. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
So we got their final win together and honored the late Alan Kowicki. So big win for that.
Was that his first win in a Hooters car?
That was his first win in a Hooters car.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it sucks, but hopefully we'll see him back sometime soon. But I don't know. I'm just curious to see who replaces him. Obviously I don't think they're gonna find they're not going to be rushing for a sponsor this year, but I'm curious to know who would replace them going into next year. Obviously, it's the biggest name in NASCAR at the moment, so
I think they could piece something together. I'm sure.
So,
but the Hooters in my town has been closed for over 10 years now. So it's definitely been rough for them.
Yeah. So, they were supposed to run on the car later this year as the primary sponsor for Richmond. That is now to be determined. So, we might see UniFirst or Napa or Lumar Films or Kelly Blue Book. Kelly Blue Book's only got 1 year or one date, and that's the fall Talladega race. So,
Well, Kelly Blue Book's ran that Richmond race with them before, I think.
2021, I believe.
Yeah. So that could be a good fit. Or they could even maybe, Valvoline could maybe hop on the car. I think it's the only HMS Cup car that Valvoline has not been on. Or it could even be, Rick's always been good about, the HendrickCars.com deal and, helping out, with Raja and the truck team, Inspire, and putting them on the Xfinity cars and, the whole Larson thing. And, I wouldn't put it past them to maybe stick it on the 9 for a race too. So I definitely think they have options, but it's exciting to theorize for sure.
Yeah. I certainly wouldn't mind a HendrickCars.com scheme. I think that would be really
fun to see on the 9. And we could even see we may even see a whole new company come in and and maybe they find some quick success and they really get hooked up. I mean, look at Mavis and what they've done with Gibbs. They came on for one race, they loved it, and now Denny's running, Mavis cars all the freaking time. I mean, there's absolutely a great relationship there now because, they kind of gave them a taste of the sport, and they've got the deal now where every time they win, the paint scheme changes, and, maybe something like that could happen at Hendrick, and they could, start up a new relationship with another aspiring company that's hoping to break into motorsports. Maybe what if this is the moment we see DoorDash come back?
Ooh. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be interesting.
DoorDash, especially in a time like now, I mean that's got to be a sponsor that's got a crap ton of money behind them now. So
for sure. And with NASCAR's most popular driver at arguably its most successful team, that would be fun.
Yeah. Well, we got some drama regarding AM Racing and Hailie Deegan. Per Bob Pockris via Twitter, Joey Logano will replace Hailie Deegan in the AM Racing number 15 car at Chicago this weekend. The team says the change is, quote, to help provide feedback that the team can use to improve on-track competition as the sport heads into the second half of the season, end quote. As of today, Friday the 5th, Bob tweeted, he checked in on the AM Racing folks in the Xfinity Series garage, and it's still to be determined as far as who is in the number 15 car next week at Pocono and Hailie Deegan's status. More reports have said that she has unfollowed them on Twitter and taken the team out of her bio on Instagram. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, on paper, on the surface, it sounds genuine, especially for a smaller kind of aspiring team like that. Brett Griffin said something on TBC. It was either last year or the year before that I really connected with when they were bringing Newman and Custer in to race for Rick Ware. He said it was a smart move because, and he didn't say this verbatim, but he said something along the lines of, you're not going to get faster cars with drivers like Cody Ware and Josh Bilicki racing for you. And that's not, to knock, their driving abilities, but those are drivers that have never driven fast cars. Custer's drove for SHR. Newman's drove for Childress, Penske, Roush, Stuart Haas. I mean, these are drivers who've won races, competed for championships, and have driven fast cars their entire career. So they know the feedback to give. They know what to look for in a car that would make it faster. They know what kind of feedback to give to the teams. Whereas like a Cody Ware or a Josh Bilicki, they've never driven fast cars. I mean, Joey Logano, he's driven fast cars his entire career. I mean, he started out at Venturini and ARCA, then went to Gibbs and Xfinity. I mean, I don't think Logano's ever driven a slow car in his freaking life. I mean, so he definitely, being a Daytona 500 winner, multi-time champion, winner in all three, major levels of the sport, he's definitely a guy that knows what to look for, and he can be a huge resource to that team if that's really the reason behind it. I'm skeptical because it's at Chicago. Not only is it a road course, but it's a street course, which is so different than what we normally run, and not just the Xfinity Series, but NASCAR. So it's like, how much of a notebook are you really going to build with a guy when you're really running like, I hate to use this word because, it's the word's everywhere and people throw it around all the time, but how much of a notebook are you really going to build in a gimmicky race? It's not gonna give you, consistent data to build throughout the year. And so I think that being said, looking at that information, I think that definitely alludes to there being something deeper going on at AM Racing. And I think maybe Deegan's out, and I think maybe it's probably about time. She has been the lowest pointed full-time car in the series for the majority of the year. She's being outdriven by Leland Honeyman, which is a first-year driver with a first-year team. Blaine Perkins. She's being outdriven by a lot of, and I hate to, be so blunt, but she's being outdriven by shit boxes.
Yeah.
And she's like, what, 200, 300 points out, something like that. It's rough. So, it breaks my heart. I'm a big Deegan supporter. I want to see her be successful. She brings a lot of sponsorship. She's a great personality in the sport. She's fun to talk to. I've met her, but it's just like, you gotta deliver. You can't just be sponsorship. You got to do both. You got to deliver. And AM Racing has never been an organization that's been looking for pay drivers. I followed that team for a really long time. I know Austin, great guy. I know his dad. They're based out of Texas. And they're a team. They're just old school, like short track grinder kind of family homegrown team. They don't chase sponsors. They want results. And, they want a driver that works as hard as they do. So.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, I just recently learned that going into this season, they cut their alliance with Stewart-Haas Racing. So,
Really?
there could be some performance issues as far as the car goes. So it might not all be Deegan. So I don't know. I think, when you look at the season that she's had, it's certainly not good. But she's also had horrible luck. You look back to her Truck Series career, and she had horrific luck. So far this season, she's had pretty horrific luck. But, as you said, she is currently sitting 32nd in points, which is last of all full-time drivers. She's currently being outpointed by a guy who hasn't been in the car since about March, and that's Eric Almirola. Obviously Eric Almirola does have a win to his year, but as you said, that's only like 35 points. So, it's they fired their crew chief, or they changed the crew chief back in Darlington or after Darlington or whatnot. And unfortunately, nothing has really improved. I think when you look at it, the only way that she's been getting decent runs, when you look at it, she had a decent run at Talladega, and that's because half the field wrecked. So, and it's hard to say, but what the real problem is. But the thing is as you said, the results need to be shown. She is a great person for the sport. Obviously she's super popular, so her bad results get glorified, and they want to call her the Danica 2.0. And I wouldn't say that just yet, right? I don't know. Danica, I think, has wrecked 3 times as many cars as Deegan so far. And Deegan is still incredibly young. If I was Hailie Deegan, I would take the rest of the year off. If of course this is like a done deal, I would take the rest of the year off. I'd go find some races to run on dirt. I would go find some races to potentially run in IMSA, get some more experience, and really work on your racecraft. And see if anything comes up next year. If nothing comes up next year, just go run dirt and go run IMSA and work on your racecraft. Go run sim, like a bunch of sim. Go work on things. Go, stay behind the wheel. Don't go off and go party, and don't go off and go sit around and do sponsorship deals. Don't do that. Go and really work on your racecraft, and then after that, if you see that you're getting more, if you're getting more offers, then take one, and if you improve, then obviously, hey, then you did something right. If there's no improvement, then maybe NASCAR is just not it, and that's perfectly fine. There's no shame in that. But, I think a lot of people just want to write her off as a bust. And, we've seen drivers come in that are not cut out for NASCAR, but they're fantastic race car drivers and something else. And there's no shame in that.
Yeah, for sure. There's no linear path in this sport. There's not a specific order, you have to do anything. We've had guys disappear for 5 years, come back and be championship threats. We've had guys, come right out of the gate and, suck. I mean, everybody's different. There's no linear way to do the damn thing, So obviously, like you said, just finding, just making an action plan and, kind of forging your path going forward and just finding something that works for you. I mean, we see, everyone does it differently. And so obviously I agree, her career's not over, she's maybe not a bad driver. We just, just needs to figure some things out, obviously.
No. Well, I guess the big news from the weekend itself is that Carson Hocevar has been fined $50,000 and docked 25 points, dropping him from 22nd to 25th overall in the point standings for intentionally wrecking Harrison Burton under caution in Nashville. What are your thoughts on that?
Praise the Lord! Finally! We're doing something to this kid. I mean, I'm not going to say finally we're doing something to this kid, because we've penalized him forever and ever and ever. I mean, he was single-handedly the reason that Talladega truck race turned into a shit show, because he brought out the caution on purpose. They held him for 2 laps, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he's done stuff like that, his entire career. And he's been penalized, and he still drives like that. So I don't know if it's going to help, but I definitely think it's good to lay down the law. I mean, you're racing with, and it's the same thing that a lot of people said about Ty Gibbs. And thankfully, Ty has been very good. I would say. But it's the same skepticism that a lot of people had about Ty Gibbs coming into the Cup Series. They say, hey, these big boys, they don't play like that. I was like, you can't mess around with these cats like you can in the Xfinity Series. And, Ty's been very good about being respectful and learning and, wrecked Joey Logano, but that's only because Joey wrecked him at Martinsville in the fall. So I don't take issue with that at all. But Carson has just been, he wrecked both of his teammates at, what was it, Gateway, Iowa? It was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, dude, he cleans out both his teammates. He wrecks Byron under caution. And I'm partial because I grew up with Carson. We went to high school together. And he is just, man, he's just always been a brat. He comes from money. His parents own this big jewelry store here in town. Scott's New and Used on Westnedge. Carson is, that family's got a lot of money, and they ran circles around a lot of these blue-collar guys at Berlin and Kalamazoo Speedway and Galesburg, and they made it really, really hard for some of these blue-collar guys around here to put food on the table because they just came in with a lot of money and just ran circles around these guys. And so I definitely am partial to the kid. Like I said, we went to school together. We had classes together, and, he was friends with a lot of people that go to my church. Good friend of mine, he asked her to prom, she turned him down. So just definitely, he was definitely a part of our lives growing up. And all I can say is that's Carson. That's Carson. And that's always been Carson, and it's probably always going to be Carson.
Yeah, I think it's about damn time. I think when you look at what he's done on the track, he spun himself out because he had a flat tire in the Truck Series a couple years ago at Las Vegas with about 9 laps to go. And his championship hopes are going to be over. And coming on pit road, he just turned the wheel left and right real quick and gave it the throttle and let it spin itself out, and then sat there.
Blatantly, you could see his hands clear as day.
Yeah, did that, wrecked some other people to get, had a bad race, had something happen, was down a lap and wrecked somebody to catch a caution so that way he could get back on the lead lap. It did that multiple times.
Stopped at Talladega, I remember.
Yeah, had a flat tire at Talladega. Coming through the tri-oval, lost all the track position with like 4 laps to go. And coming past the flag stand, he just left and right real quick. This is Talladega. This is, when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure they still talk about this track this way. It is the biggest, the meanest, the fastest track in NASCAR.
It's dangerous. It's
incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. He spun himself out. Obviously, there were no cars or trucks near him at the time. But, spun himself out by the flag stand and then just sat there and waited for them to throw the caution. That kind of crap is absolutely unacceptable. And they did nothing. Tried to wreck Taylor Gray, I think last year. Was it last year? Yeah. I think it was last year.
Yeah. No, it was last year.
At Martinsville, they parked him for 2 laps. He wrecked, getting his first win. He wrecked Zane Smith and Christian Eckes and somebody else that was caught up in that as well.
It was the Texas race that Zane led every freaking lap and then got wrecked on the white because Carson just went under him and tried not to make the corner and took them both and just didn't try to make the corner and took them both out. And I hate to bring personalities into it, and I don't like saying, bad things about any driver, but one thing I will say about Carson, and I'll leave it at that, is Carson is a kid who has never had anything bad happen to him. And I'll leave it at that.
To add to that, not that specifically, but to add to what I was saying, goes into the championship race. I mean, you got 3 guys along with him that are fighting for a championship in one race, and going to catch Corey Heim, he just flat dumps him. Doesn't even try.
And ruin Grant's championship. That was Grant's championship.
Yeah, and ruin Corey Heim's chance.
Yeah.
Ruin Grant
just because he was
chance. Bad. I mean, and the thing is I can't remember if they fined him for that or if they docked him points for that or whatever.
They fined him because they knew he was leaving the series.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too much, man. Look, I'm sorry. I think, it, and this is not to diss Harrison Burton at all, but I miss the days, if you go back to like 2007 or slightly earlier than that, there was a time when a guy like Tony Stewart would grab you by the collar and go, "You can't do this crap. You do that to me again, I'm going to push you in the fence." Plain and simple.
Yeah.
You can't do this. That's not how you race people. It's dangerous. You're weaponizing a race car. Plain and simple. And I know a lot of people are probably going to bring up the whole Chase Elliott thing with Denny Hamlin last year. If you go back and you listen to our episode on that, I was not happy with Chase Elliott on that. That kind of crap is unacceptable. Plain and simple. I don't care if it's under green. I don't care if it's under caution. You can't do it. Is it funny when it happens at Bristol? Yeah, it's funny when it happens at Bristol because everybody's pissy at Bristol. That's plain and simple.
Yeah. Or Martinsville, or a slow track,
Yeah, of course. It's fine when it's happened like that. At a short track. Because the speeds are slow anyway. When you go to a 1.5 mile track or a 1.3 mile track like Nashville, that kind of stuff is absolutely unacceptable. And it's not the fact that he wrecked him, he wrecked him and he turned him down and he spun down to the infield. No. He
attacked him. He attacked him.
Right hooked him, into the, right hooked him right in his right rear quarter panel and spun him in front of half the field.
Yeah, I mean, he did the Bubba. He did what Bubba did to Larson, essentially.
Yeah. And that kind of stuff is absolutely unacceptable. I'm glad that they're finally finding him and docking him points. In my personal opinion, I don't think it's enough. I think the only way that this kid will learn is if he gets suspended.
Yeah, or he gets cleaned out. I don't encourage intentionally wrecking anybody, but Tony Stewart, you were talking Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart, I still remember years and years ago. I believe it was Speed Weeks 2019. He was on the download, and he said, back in the day, if we pissed somebody off as a young kid, we got cleaned out. And it gave us a couple minutes while we were sitting up against the wall getting our shit together to think about what we did and how we got there. And we learned, and we didn't do it again. And I don't support intentionally wrecking anybody or trying to get somebody hurt. But I do think, if someone comes down on you or keeps chopping you, I do think there's a point where you just don't lift and you just send them around and just let them go to timeout, so to say, and just let them think about what they did, and they'll learn. They'll learn when they keep having to put wrecked race cars on the hook and their crew chief keeps looking at them like, "Stop wrecking my cars." They'll learn. Yeah.
I mean, I think the prime example of that is Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth, 2015.
For sure.
Wrecked him at Kansas. Didn't retaliate.
Didn't even need to win. He won 2 races.
Didn't need to win. Wrecked Matt Kenseth 2015 with like 2 to go.
Yep.
Then went on to Talladega and brake checked him coming onto pit road under a green flag pit stop.
Backed into that win because of Harvick.
Yeah. And then
at Martinsville leading again.
He got taken out and and Matt Kenseth got taken out and finally just said, screw it, this guy's not going to the championship, and just took him out. And I'll tell you what.
That's the way you got to do it sometimes, man.
And guess what? Joey hasn't raced that dirty ever again, has he?
No, he's not. He's not been clean by any means, but he's never done that shit again, man. I mean, I remember Auto Club 2013. I was livid when he broke Denny's back, man. You know, as a Hamlin fan, I mean, I was pissed. And then to boot, to add insult to injury, he wrecks him again at Bristol in the fall. Like, what?
Yeah, you know, and look, that... As you said, it just takes some time. I think, you know, Carson's getting away with it because he's wrecking Harrison Burton. He's gonna get away with it. You know, look, he's gonna get away with it.
But that's true.
But to add to that, right? If he wrecks Justin Hailie, he's gonna get away with it. If he wrecks somebody else, he's going to get away with it. If he wrecks
you
Ty
wreck anyone
Gibbs,
for 26, they're just going to let it fly.
Right. But if he wrecks Ty Gibbs, or he wrecks, Denny Hamlin, or Martin Truex Jr.
Or dare I say Martin Truex, that would be a fight that I would not want to see.
Or, Kyle Busch, or, somebody...
Or even
somebody
Stenhouse,
there,
or just,
Chase Elliott, if he Ty Gibbs, somebody, Noah Gragson, somebody who has a little bit of a fire under him. If he wrecks one of those guys, he's going to get his ass kicked. Plain and simple. And
Hocevar is this generation's Joey Logano. Tall, lanky, annoying, and drives like an ass. I'm saying it right now, man. He's our generation's Joey Logano.
Yeah. I mean, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just gonna leave it at that.
For sure.
Josh Berry has had a decent season so far. Really starting to pick up the heat now. But it was released Wednesday. I'm sorry. That Josh Berry will drive the famed number 21 for the Wood Brothers in 2025. What are your thoughts on that?
Sad. I do, man. It bums me out. I mean, he deserves a better ride. I was really hoping he would end up at front row, or a Roush, or even a different manufacturer. He deserves a better ride. I mean, obviously the 21 is basically a Penske car, but, I don't think it's all Burton. I don't think if Josh Berry were to hop in that car right now for the rest of the year, that would be an 18th place car. I don't believe it. A lot of it's Burton, yeah, but I don't think it's all Burton. I could see... I mean, Barry's definitely going to run better than Harrison, but I don't think he runs in that car. I don't think he jumps in that car and just runs, top 15, top 10, sometimes like Matt DiBenedetto did. And I don't think he's the last car into the playoffs on points. I think he's a 21st, 22nd place car. And, I think he just... it's definitely better than running 29th to 35th like Harrison is, but... I would have loved to see him at a better team. I would have loved to see him at front row. I like what Jenkins and that crew's doing over there. I would have liked to see him at a different team. But he seems happy, It definitely seems like he had options, but he chose the Wood Brothers. So he seems happy, and that's what's important, that he's happy. But I would have liked to see him go somewhere more competitive.
So, to add to that, I think... from what I've gathered, it seems like obviously they have not announced a crew chief for next year to go with Josh Berry. However, I did see that someone did ask if getting Rodney Childers to reunite or to stay with Josh Berry for next year is off the table, and they said that's certainly not off the table.
That would be a huge win, man. Like you were talking about it last week.
Yeah, so they could potentially get, the dynamic duo that they've been so far this year.
And what Childers could bring to a team like the Wood brothers, especially a single car team. Granted, yes, they prepare their cars out of the Penske shop. They're essentially a Penske satellite car. But, I mean, they work like a single car team. And what Childers could do for a single car team, just one pit crew, one driver, one group of engineers, what he could rally those guys around him and bring his knowledge in, that would be a lethal force.
Exactly. I mean, and as you said, that's Penske equipment. That's probably, I mean, if to compare, equipment, you're talking Penske equipment, current Penske equipment. That's probably
which is one of the last two championships.
Yeah, but that's probably relative to 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. Maybe 2019 Stewart-Haas Racing equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, you give a guy like that with only one car that he has to worry about, not having to go and sit in these big-ass team meetings and not having to sit there and share notes with teammates or anything like that. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's...
I can just lock in.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. Rodney Childers is a genius on a pit box. I mean, I said it last week, and you pick up a guy like that, you're destined for 2, 3, 4 wins a season.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely top 30 crew chiefs that the sport's ever seen, for sure.
Oh, easy. So if that does happen, that would be a huge win for the Wood brothers and Josh Berry. But as it sits right now, I am happy that Josh Berry, of course, did get a ride in the Cup Series. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I figured he was going to, but
Yeah, I mean, look, Josh Berry is incredibly talented, and the way that Josh carries himself, I don't see a better driver in the field that would fit. The Wood brothers kind of esque, I guess I could say. He carries himself very polite, very quiet, very clean cut dude. So I'm happy for him. Again, it is kind of crappy that he's not going to a better ride, but like I said, if they do get Rodney Childers, that whole better ride question goes out of the way, because I don't think there will be one. So anyway, that is news. Unless, well, I guess we could leave off news on this. So new drivers and new places for this weekend. Just getting it out of the way now. Ty Dillon will be in the number 4 for the Xfinity Series. As we already mentioned, Joey Logano will be in the 15. Kyle Larson back in Xfinity in the Hendrick Motorsports entry, the number 17. Ty Gibbs will be back behind the wheel of the Joe Gibbs Racing number 19 in Xfinity. John Hunter Nemechek will be in the 20 this weekend. And Daniel Suarez will be in the 36 this weekend in Xfinity. All those cars will be the Xfinity cars, of course. And then as far as Cup Series goes, AJ Allmendinger will be back behind the wheel of the number 13 for Kaulig. Shane Van Gisbergen is back for Redemption, looking to remain undefeated in the 16 this weekend. Austin Hill will be in the 33 for Richard Childress Racing, and Joey Hand will drive the 60 for RFK this weekend. Of course, those are the Cup cars. So those are the good drivers in new places.
Who was in the 15? Is it just Gralla, or is there a ringer?
No. I don't know who's in the 15.
Okay.
I can check. But the 15 in Xfinity is obviously Logano.
Obviously, yeah.
Let's see. We can schedule. Let's see. let's see. The 15 is Gralla.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
Cool.
that's it. Everybody else is in their standard spots. Oh,
Yeah,
and
I thought Handy
Josh
might have
Bilicki is going to be in the 66 this week.
66. Yeah, I saw that.
So,
Cool.
all right. Well, that is it for news. We will move on to driver and menace of the day. Driver menace. Who you got?
Oh, driver of the day. I got to give it to my boy Zane Smith. I mean, first top 5 of the year, first top 10 of the year. You know, I want to give it to Preece, but Preece is in a little bit better equipment than Zane is, and Zane. I mean, I was just clowning on him last week, saying that he was, like Deegan levels of bad in Cup, and then my boy goes out and runs second. Like, come on, dude, I see you. Like, that's awesome. So, driver of the day, definitely Zane Smith. Menace of the day, I don't know. Menace, which one? I mean, it seems like everybody shit the bed.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't even know. Who wrecked Cindric, or did Cindric wreck himself?
Cindric went up the hill and door slammed Noah Gragson and spun down the back straightaway. So,
yeah, I'm just gonna give it to Cindric just because that seemed like the caution that really altered the trajectory of the race, and just really kind of put us in just started the descent into madness.
Yeah.
So driver Smith, menace Cindric.
So my driver of the day is got to be Joey Logano. The reason I say Joey Logano is because dude qualified 22nd. Dude was the slowest Penske car in qualifying. They flipped the strategy, and I don't know how. I don't know if it's a little something in the fuel cell, but dude went 110 laps on a single tank of gas on a 1.3 mile track. That's incredible. So I don't know if he saved that much. I don't know if there's, like I said, if there's a little something in the fuel cell that NASCAR didn't find. But I will say this, he did use his advanced auto parts card and definitely saved it.
Don't do it. Oh my god.
He definitely saved it at the pump. I had to do it. I'm sorry.
He saved it at the pump.
So, I don't know. Great work on that team. Definitely a season turnaround for that team for sure. So now he's locked into the playoffs. So it is an odd year. So better watch out. I just still.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I forgot this was even driver menace. For some reason, I was like, oh yeah, the race recap's over. We're talking about the race. I totally forgot this is driver menace. So go ahead.
No, my menace of the day, it's got to be Carson Hocevar. We've already touched on that enough. You can't wreck people under caution. You can't right hook somebody. Plain and simple. It's just unacceptable. Can't do it. So, honorable mention for driver of the day, though. How about Chase Elliott? Dude qualified 13th.
Yeah, man.
Had a top 10 car all day. Spun himself out coming off a 4. Lost all of his track position. Gained it all back on the second to last overtime restart. Ran out of gas. Then the caution comes back out. He gets fuel, changed tires, gets up to about 18th, coming off turn 4 to come to the checkered flag, and he spins himself out again. And somehow, some way, saves it and keeps the throttle in it through the grass and keeps the top 20 streak alive, finishing P18. That's determination right there.
Yeah, man, definitely the drive of a champion.
Yeah. I will say this though. Um, I don't know what to say about Kyle Busch's season. That poor guy,
Dude, yeah.
he is having a season that I think nobody ever wants. Like this is beyond like a nightmare season. I mean, dude's running like 30th every week, and when
Yeah.
they finally get it right, he gets up to the front and he gets wrecked.
Yeah,
Oh
man.
man. I mean, you're going to the race this weekend, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be
Yeah.
on Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah. Stay far away from Kyle Busch.
Dude, I
You
swear
will
to
get
God,
bad luck.
dude, at this point, I swear to God, he's going to come, like, through the catch fence.
I mean, I feel so bad. I mean, at first it was kind of funny. Like, damn, that's crazy. And then now it's
No,
just
it's
sad.
laughable.
At this point, it's not even laughable. At this point, it's just like, wow, you feel bad for the guy. I mean, they changed some things. Obviously, this is the first week that they had back with the changes they made, but
Yep.
you know, it just doesn't seem like anything's getting any better.
Dude, no, man. It seems like they're just
No,
throwing shit against the wall and nothing will stick.
no, no, no. Well, that is it for driver and menace of the day. We will go straight to the race recap. I don't know. Do you want to do trucks? I know you're a big truck guy.
Yeah, I'll do trucks. Let me get over
All right.
to the website. I'll be a little more passionate about it because I won some money on Ekus. He was my pick last week, so won a little bit on him. Oh god, if I can remember how to do this. Nashville results, trucks, Rackley Roofing 200. Now we're looking for,
Timeline.
yeah. Okay. So, qualifying. Stuart Friesen started on the pole. No, yes. Yes? Yes.
Yeah.
Stuart Friesen started on the pole inside of Grant Enfinger, so that was an interesting front row. Eventual race winner Christian Eckes started third. We took the green flag, and that is a great question. What happened? I have to click load more a lot to get down to the bottom. So on lap one, we actually had an accident as Christian Eckes takes the lead from starting in the third position. Dean Thompson, Mason Massey, Brett Holmes, Timmy Hill, Akinori Ogata all wreck in turn 3 when Mason Maggio sends Dean Thompson up the hill, and they all kind of come unraveled for about 20th. There was no free pass as the race just started. It took about 7 laps to get the track cleaned up. We took the green flag again on lap 8. Christian Eckes maintained the lead. And just a lap later, Brett Holmes had a single car wreck from the 33rd position on lap 9. Again, no free pass. We saw some strategy start to play out as early as lap 11 as Nick Sanchez, Mason Maggio, Tanner Gray, and Ty Dillon all pitted. Another 4 laps of caution being worked as then Christian Eckes led the field to the green. And Stuart Friesen on the outside again. Lane Riggs worked his way up to the 2nd position on the restart. And on lap 23, Majeski was complaining about debris. And just a few laps later, Caden Honeycutt, he was having a great start to the season in that Nice truck, really impressing, putting some good runs together. On lap 28, he complained that his truck was smoking and could only muster another 9 laps before they had to take it to the garage. On lap 42 and 44, Sanchez and Gray lose a lap. It's Tanner Gray. Eckes wins stage 1. Tanner Gray won the battle for the free pass, so Nick Sanchez remained a lap down. All the trucks on the lead lap pit. Eckes won the race off pit road, and Stuart Friesen had an issue and went from 7th to 19th. They had a 28-second pit stop. And Ty Majeski, even worse, they went from 8th to 21st with a 29-second stop. So issues for both of those drivers. On lap 53, we kicked off stage 2. Taylor Gray was spun by Ben Rhodes on the initial start. That was from the 8th position. We got the caution, and Sanchez still did not get his free pass. He was outdueled by Spencer Boyd, who got the free pass. We went green again on lap 60, and another quick caution. This became the trend for this race. Dawson Cram, stacked up by Chase Purdy, said they were, quote, playing games on the restart. Boyer hit Purdy, Cram wrecked hard, then Nick Sanchez gets his free pass. And on lap 66, we finally got a good green flag run in. Eckes leading Lane Riggs, Heim third, and Carruth rounding out the top 4. And about 20 laps later, Lane Riggs, running in the 8th position, complained to his team about the splitter. And on lap 86, Frankie Muniz, the fall from grace continues as he comes down pit road, and they put the hood up on that machine as they had something terminal happen under the hood of that truck. Stephen Parsons and Lane Riggs both nearly wrecked, battling for 8th. Riggs saved the truck, but lost about 3 spots. And on lap 93, they couldn't keep it green forever. Riggs spun Parsons from 14th after a pissing match that lasted about 10 laps. That took us to the end of stage. A lap later, Eckes swept the stages. Spencer Boyd was again the free pass, and Lane Riggs penalized. They held him 2 laps for reckless driving. Not the first time we've seen that penalty administered in the Truck Series. It's a pretty popular one that they break out commonly. I know they hit Hocevar with that one a couple years ago and hit Kyle Busch with that one quite a few years ago. So definitely one that they like to throw the book at sometimes. All the lead lap trucks pit. Eckes again wins the race off pit road. And Corey Heim apparently reported that his foot slipped off the pedal, so he came in second but cycled out 9th. And Enfinger had a 34-second stop drop from 5th to 20th. On lap 103, we resumed racing for stage 3. We only ran another 10 laps before Jack Wood spun from 13th after getting hit by Connor Jones on the 66. And Dawson Cram was the free pass. Lap 115 under caution, a little bit of strategy playing out. Friesen, Boyer, Majeski, and Allen and Wood and Sanchez pit. Stuart Friesen had a loose left rear tire, so the caution really helped that the 52 team as they didn't have to pit under green and lose a lap. Lap 119 in the closing laps of the race, Christian Eckes leads the field to green. Daniel Dye outside of him. Raja Carruth remains in 3rd. Rhodes in 4th. Eckes maintains the lead. Matt Crafton from the 11th position over the course of that run complained about a loose wheel or something loose wheel adjacent that he felt a vibration in the truck, but nothing came of that. With 10 to go, Clint Boyer was nearly wrecked Lane Riggs for 17th, and we finished under green, no overtimes. Christian Eckes leads every single lap and gets his 3rd win of the season. A crazy race for sure. Shout out Raja Carruth, hung around in the top 5 all day, and the good season continues.
Yep. My boy Christian Eckes won that race. Led every freaking lap. Let's go.
Every lap.
You know what's stupid? And I'm going to admit something. The only reason why I'm a Christian Eckes fan is because he drives a Napa truck.
You know what? But you're also someone who doesn't watch the Truck Series, so I can't be mad about that.
Yeah,
He's
I
just
will
like
say
he's
this.
just like your little
I
mini
did
Chase Elliott.
watch. Yeah, I did watch this weekend's race. This truck race. Only because I was bored and there was nothing else on. You know, look, it's a good time waster, but other than that, it's kind of cringy.
Yeah,
Look,
it's Mikey and Phil are just unbearable sometimes.
so look, I don't think Phil is that bad. Michael Waltrip's terrible.
Yeah, man.
He tries to be funny when he's not.
And Adam is, oh my
Don't even get me started on Jamie Little.
god.
She's just, oh my god.
She can't count, man. She thinks it's the white flag and it's 2 to go, and
She's a damn
go back to
squawker,
Arca.
bro.
Yeah.
She's squawking in the booth. It's like, yo, get this pterodactyl out of there.
Right?
Anyway, that's enough on that. The Xfinity Series race was just about as uneventful as you could get. Ty Gibbs led the field to green with Cole Custer on the outside. They entered side by side for the entire lap, but Ty Gibbs finally would beat him on lap 2. By lap 45, everything was clean in stage 1. Lap 45 came around, and Ty Gibbs would win stage number 1. The leaders would pit, of course, and we would get the restart on lap 52 with Cole Custer leading on the inside, Brandon Jones second on the outside, but it was no short task for Ty Gibbs to pass Brandon Jones for second, and John Hunter Nemechek also would pass Brandon Jones, who drops to fourth on that restart. Well, it would be smooth sailing up until lap 71 when John Hunter Nemechek would pass Cole Custer for the lead, and John Hunter Nemechek on lap 90 would win stage number 2. Like I said, very clean race for the Xfinity Series race. The caution would come out on lap 91 as I think it was for debris, I believe. Riley Herbst would pit prior to pit road opening. No, I'm sorry. The stage would end. I'm stupid. The stage would end under that caution just before pit road would open. Riley Herbst would pit due to his cool suit not working, and they had to drain the cool suit. It was a very hot day on Saturday in Nashville. Temperatures inside the car at headrest level were 128 degrees, and poor Riley Herbst is wearing a black fire suit in a black car with a black cool suit. And for those who don't know what a cool suit is, the cool shirt, it's a shirt with all these tubes on it that circulates water. It's got a tube that's from the shirt that you stick into a box, and it circulates cool water to keep your torso cool. And when it fails, it starts circulating hot water, or it stops working, and your body heat essentially boils that water, and it can get pretty hot. So Riley had enough of that, and they had to finally drain the cool suit. We would finally get the restart on lap 98. John Hunter Nemechek would lead on the inside with Cole Custer on the outside. On lap 105, Justin Allgaier from 6th would be concerned with voltage, his volts in his car getting pretty low, and just a handful of laps later, on lap 136, Ty Gibbs, who was 4th, and Justin Allgaier, who had worked his way up to 5th, made contact with Ty Gibbs and spun him out coming off of turn number 4. Chandler Smith, who was 6th at the time, made contact with Justin Allgaier and Ty Gibbs, bringing out the caution. All would be able to continue with minimal damage. The leaders under that caution would pit and take 4 tires. Brandon Jones, who was 10th, pulled in a little too close to the wall and had to back up to leave. Justin Allgaier, who was 5th coming onto pit road, went ahead and changed a battery. And AJ Allmendinger had a slow stop, dropping him from second to 9th. We would get the restart on lap 142 with Cole Custer leading on the inside, John Hunter Nemechek second on the outside. Cole Custer would get loose in turn number 1, washed up the track in turn 2, and John Hunter Nemechek would take the lead once again, and Cole Custer would fall back to the 4th position, and it would be pretty much smooth sailing. On lap 172, Sheldon Creed would have to pit from 15th for a new battery as his voltage dropped too low. The crew went under the hood to check the alternator, but no one would be able to catch John Hunter Nemechek, as on lap 188, the checkered flag would fly, and John Hunter Nemechek would win and capture yet another win for the number 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. And that was the uneventful Xfinity Series race at Nashville.
Yeah, uneventful indeed. Who even won?
John Hunter Nemechek.
Again? Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I guess.
Cool. The Cup race.
Xfinity.
Yeah.
The Cup race was based. Here we go.
Yeah, very based. Lap 1, Denny Hamlin led the field to green from the inside. Josh Berry second on the outside. Denny Hamlin would be able to keep the lead for quite a while. On lap 37, Alex Bowman would start green flag pit stops, pitting from 13th, along with Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain, and Riley Herbst. That would, of course, start green flag pit stops. On lap 47, Michael McDowell and Joey Logano both had their radios going that they were going to end their fuel window around lap 75. So they were running long on their set of stops. On lap 77, Michael McDowell and Todd Gilliland would be the final cars to pit in the cycle, handing the lead to Christopher Bell on lap 78. He would return to the lead after he did pass Denny Hamlin prior to the set of stops. Denny Hamlin, of course, would be not too far behind Christopher Bell, but it would be smooth sailing for Christopher Bell as he would be able to pull away and capture stage win number 1 for stage 1 on lap 90. Well, on lap 92, all the leaders would pit. Joey Logano would take 2 tires. Everybody else would take 4, and Denny Hamlin would be the first car off of pit road and takes the lead. We would have 7 cars take the wave around to get on the lead lap. Those included Chase Briscoe, John Hunter Nemechek, Michael McDowell, Ryan Preece, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Todd Gilliland, and Justin Hailie. We would, of course, get the restart on lap 98 with Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell being on the front row. And on lap 116, John Hunter Nemechek would spin off of turn 4 from the 37th position. The weekly John Hunter Nemechek caution in the Cup Series would return for another week. On lap 117, Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just chuckling. Weekly John Hunter Nemechek update.
Yep. On lap 117, all the lead lap cars would pit. Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Noah Gragson, Alex Bowman, Carson Hocevar would all take 2 tires, while everybody else would take 4, and Ross Chastain would be penalized for equipment interference. And of course, we would have the restart on lap 123 with Christopher Bell and Brad Keselowski on the front row. Joey Logano would get loose in turn number 1 after a shove from behind by Denny Hamlin. Both would jump up the track, and they would both lose spots. Denny Hamlin would go from 6th to 15th. Both cars would go out of the groove and, of course, lose a ton of positions. However, Ty Gibbs would spin off of turn number 4 from the 9th position, going through the grass, and He made slight contact with Alex Bowman just before the spin, but all would be well with his car, and we would, of course, get the restart on lap 131. Christopher Bell would lead with Brad Keselowski on the outside. Brad Keselowski would slow on the outside and falls back to fourth. Tyler Reddick would move up to second, as Christopher Bell would lead. And just 4 laps later, on lap 135, we would get a caution for lightning in the area, just within that 8-mile radius of the speedway. All the cars would come down pit road and park in their pit stalls and be held under a red flag. And then, of course, unfortunately, that's when a small cell thunderstorm would roll through, completely soaking the track. So we would be under the red flag for a total of 1 hour and 21 minutes. But all the drivers would be called back to their cars at 5:24 local time. The red flag started at 4:16 local time. And of course, all the cars would return to the track on lap 138 under yellow. Here's an odd case. Austin Cindric was sent to the rear for working on the car under red. The crew had a fan on the pit wall that was semi-pointed at the car, and NASCAR believed it was cooling the car, providing an advantage. So he would have to start at the rear of the field. That was definitely an odd one for sure. Well, we would get the restart on lap 141. Of course, Christopher Bell would lead with Tyler Reddick second on the outside. On lap 185, Christopher Bell would win stage number 2, sweeping the first 2 stages. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson had a little displeasure going on, as Denny Hamlin would bump Kyle Larson after the stage to show his displeasure about being raced finishing that section. On lap 187, the leaders, of course, would pit. Daniel Suarez had a slow stop, and Chris Buescher lost 8 positions as well. We would get the restart on lap 193. Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin would lead to the green. On lap 202, we would get another caution, as Riley Herbst would get into the wall from the 31st position after contact from Corey LaJoie, who got loose, went up the track, and hooked him into the left rear. That, of course, brought out the caution once again. The top 14 would stay out. The 15 on back would pit. On lap 207, Bubba Wallace and Michael McDowell would come in to top off with fuel. And on lap 210, we would, of course, get the restart with Christopher Bell leading and Tyler Reddick on the outside. Denny Hamlin tried to make it go 3 wide, but didn't do so. Made minor contact with Christopher Bell. And, of course, Eric Jones would get turned into the turn 2 wall from 25th, losing a right front tire. That would bring out the caution once again. We would get the restart on lap 214 with Tyler Reddick leading, Christopher Bell on the outside. Christopher Bell would edge past Tyler Reddick for the lead. Martin Truex Jr. drives from 6th to 3rd on the high lane. And on lap 218, Chase Elliott would spin by himself off of turn number 4 from the 6th position. It goes through the grass, and all would be well with him. Of course, that would bring out the caution once again, and we would have some cars come down pit road and take 2 tires as well. On lap 226, we would get the restart with Ryan Blaney leading on the inside and AJ Allmendinger second on the outside. Ryan Blaney, of course, would clear AJ Allmendinger and keep the lead. But by lap 228, the most dominant car of the day, Christopher Bell, would slam into the wall in turn number 2 from the 15th position after getting loose, checking up, and made hard contact driver's side into the wall. That, of course, would bring out the caution, and we would get the restart on lap 235. Ryan Blaney would lead AJ Allmendinger from the outside. On lap 242, Brad Keselowski would cross over the nose of Austin Dillon, and he would spin from the 16th position in turn number 2 and back the car into the wall very hard. And of course, this is the infamous caution that Carson Hocevar deliberately right-hooked Harrison Burton down the back straightaway under caution. And of course, we would go back to green on lap 249 with Ryan Blaney and Ross Chastain on the front row. Of course, Ross Chastain would then take the lead away, and on lap 278, Ross Chastain would continue to lead by 1.7 seconds. Denny Hamlin would be in second, closing very quickly. Now, on lap 294, Ross Chastain gets loose in turn number 1 after blocking Denny Hamlin, and Denny Hamlin would pass him for the lead. But just when you thought the race was over, on lap 299, Austin Cindric would spin from the 22nd position after contact with Noah Gragson down the back straightaway, bringing out the caution and leaving us with our first overtime finish. Well, Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain would be the front row. Kyle Larson would be third, with Kyle Busch fourth on the outside. Kyle Larson pushes Denny Hamlin into turn 1, catches the apron, shooting him up the track, catching Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain would spin, slamming into the wall. Kyle Busch would be there, just barely collected. Ty Gibbs would also be collected, as well as Austin Dillon, John Hunter Nemechek, and William Byron, as well as Daniel Hemrick, all being caught up in a stack-up on that restart. However, NASCAR would give Kyle Busch his place back, so he would be moved back up to the 4th position after a very lengthy caution. That happened on lap 311. The restart, of course, was on 305. On lap 313, we would get the second overtime restart. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson would be on the front row. Martin Truex Jr. third on the inside. Kyle Busch fourth on the outside in the second row. Daniel Suarez would spin through the grass. Multiple cars would wreck down the back straightaway. Ryan Preece gets into the right rear of Harrison Burton, turning him mid-pack, collecting multiple cars. Following that, Corey Heim, Justin Hailie, Josh Berry, Todd Gilliland, Harrison Burton, of course, was in that, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Blaney, and Daniel Hemrick were involved. All the leaders would stay out under this caution for the third overtime restart. You'd think that we'd be done, but no. Here's the third overtime restart on lap 320. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson would be the front row. Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch would be the second row. Chase Briscoe in 6th would be the first car with more fuel than the entire top 5. As they go into the restart zone, Kyle Larson runs out of fuel, holds up the top lane. Kyle Busch gets a push from Chase Elliott, and around he goes into the wall just before the start-finish line, ending his day. And of course, the caution would come out once again. Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. would elect to pit from first and second under that caution, as they were incredibly close on fuel. And that would be the end of their race for the win on lap 322. Joey Logano on lap 223. Joey Logano would be the first car to last pit on lap 220. Chase Briscoe second, 224, and Corey LaJoie would be third on lap 240, who last pitted on lap 244. Zane Smith fourth, who last pitted on lap 245. We would get the fourth overtime restart, a record, with Joey Logano leading on the inside, Chase Briscoe second on the outside, Corey LaJoie third, Zane Smith fourth, Chase Elliott onto that restart, coming through the restart zone, would run out of gas. Chase Briscoe would get a good launch and stays with Joey Logano. Joey Logano cleared him down the back straightaway, but a caution would fly yet again as Josh Berry would spin and hit the turn 2 wall and would be stopped in the grass. That, of course, happened on lap 325. So for the record overtime finish on lap 326, Alex Bowman would pit under a closed pit road as he would be out of fuel. Corey LaJoie and Chase Elliott would pit as they would, of course, be out of fuel. Corey LaJoie had to pit due to a right front wheel having a mechanical issue. And for the record time, we would have a 5th overtime attempt on lap 330. Joey Logano would lead on the inside, Chase Briscoe on the outside. Joey Logano would get clear of Chase Briscoe. Tyler Reddick would come flying up from 6th up to 2nd, and Joey Logano would take the white flag as the leader, and Joey Logano would hold off Tyler Reddick and a hard-charging Zane Smith as Chase Briscoe would run out of fuel down the back straightaway. Daniel Suarez and Martin Truex Jr. made contact. Martin Truex Jr. would spin and hit the wall. Chase Elliott, coming off turn 4, would spin, go through the grass, and stay in the throttle, crossing the line P18, but nobody would be able to stop Joey Logano, who is able to save 110 laps on a single tank of gas, capturing his first win of this season and being the final car out of the Penske trio to go to victory lane, and his first at Nashville.
Dude, I'm usually not one of the people that's like, that's bullshit, cheated up, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But man, roughly 120 laps on 120 miles, 120 or so miles on a single tank of fuel. I mean, even with all those cautions, that's a lot, man. That's a lot of mileage on a NASCAR fuel tank. I mean, that's some crazy MPGs. And unfortunately, it had to be Logano. It's just, man, he got bailed out this weekend, dude. I mean, he's so lucky that the end of that race was the 2022 Coca-Cola 600. I mean, that was... I don't like the guy. I mean, obviously, it's cool that he's in the playoffs. He's a big name, brings a lot of, popularity to the sport. But, yeah. Speaking of, do we have TV numbers?
We don't. I'm sorry.
That's unfortunate. No, it's all good. I was just curious. But, yeah, man, I don't know. That's some light-footed throttle work. I mean, he must have been lifting super early, which at Nashville you do lift super, super early to get into the corners. It's a lot like Rockingham in that way, just with less banking. It drives a lot like Rockingham, though. But, man, yeah, that's a lot. Happy for Zane, though. Happy for Preece. Both of which are job hunting right now. So, yeah, good, well-needed runs for them. And definitely shakes up the playoff picture a lot as J-Lo's off the bubble now. So, what'd you think of the race?
It was chaotic. It was
for sure.
It was very chaotic. I will say this: I think I was probably the only person that was happy that caution came out for Austin Cindric. I was pretty stoked about that. It gave Chase Elliott a chance late there. Obviously,
yeah, I would have been stoked too if he won.
Yeah, things didn't transpire, but it happens. But 5 overtimes. I know a lot of people, specifically online, are saying that we need something to change in the overtime ruling. I don't think so yet.
I don't think so either. It's not that bad.
Typically, if you look at the history since we've had this, They typically get it right on the third try.
I sat through triple overtime in person one time on the 2-mile track. And that was, with those pace laps, that was rough, but it really wasn't that bad. But yeah, I've sat through a triple overtime, and thankfully my driver won that day, so it was worth it. But, that was AJ Allmendinger's win at Michigan.
Yeah. So, like I said, they typically get everything right by the third time, and that's it. This is the only time that we've had more than 3. As I mentioned, the fifth overtime. I think if it happens more than twice after this, I think maybe we should have that discussion. Say, hey, maybe we should just limit it back to 3. But other than that, you're just stirring the pot for something stupid. We don't need to do that. So,
yeah, for sure.
That's it for the race recap. That's all 3 series. So we will move on to race picks.
I think I won. I think I got 12th.
I
think you got 18th.
You did. And I did. So you get to go first because you won. You finished P12 with Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
So,
Cup pick. I'm going bold again. I went bold last week. I put some money on Priest. I'm going to go bold again this week. You'll laugh until he somehow wins. Money's on Austin Dillon.
Whoa, Austin Dillon.
He was in position to win this race last year, but net coded himself on the inside wall and ended up wrecking out of it. But I mean, he cycled up there late. Yes, it was mainly circumstance that got all those guys up there, Hailie, Dillon, and all those guys. But once Dillon was up there, he had a fast little piece. And he's never been an awful road course racer. He's had some strong runs at the road courses. And I think, Kyle finished top 5 there last year too. So I think I'm taking Austin Dillon just for the clicks, And Xfinity, I would have to remember who I picked. That is a great question. Let me search the group chat here. Oh, yeah, I'm taking Austin Green again.
All right.
Taking number Austin 32. Green again. Yeah. Number 32, Austin Green. Back in on the road course, going for his 3rd consecutive top 10 in just as many starts, trying to best his best finish of 3rd or 4th at Sonoma. One of those. It was a top 5. Yeah, he was podium. So I think he goes 2 spots better at Chicago. I think he gets the win for Jordan Anderson Racing. And, he's definitely a good little road racer. Good old boy from North Carolina. Good kid. What about you? Right. Who you got?
Well, it's pretty easy for me. I'm going an SVG sweep.
Okay, man. All right.
I think Shane Van Gisbergen wins Xfinity. Like I said, I predicted this dude to win last year.
Did you really? Did you really pick him?
I did.
Wow,
if you go back,
man.
And what's funny is we recorded on a Wednesday, so the episode came out on a Thursday, and I predicted him to win the Wednesday going in. I said, I think he's going to win, and sure enough, he won. So
who'd Ryan pick? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
I could go back and listen, but that's neat. That's cool, man. That's money. You should have bet on him, man.
Dude, I'm telling you.
You pulled that shit out of the stratosphere. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very disappointed in myself because I think I asked around and I would have won $5,000. So
damn. Hey, that's about what I would have won if Priest had won Sunday. So
yeah. So I think Shane Van Gisbergen gets the sweep. I think
Cool.
The street courses is what he used to run like all the time for like 20 some odd years.
Some, not all.
You know, in supercars, that's pretty much what they raced on, were street courses most of the time. Of course, they did have some of their actual circuits that they did drive on, but you know, he's of course the veteran of, you know, street courses, and you know,
don't sleep on some of these GT guys either. These IMSA guys, like a Michael McDowell or a Joey Hand. Some of these sports car guys that run on the streets a lot. Yeah, don't sleep on these guys either.
Yeah.
So.
You know, that don't sleep on AJ Allmendinger either. I know he hasn't really shown much on the road courses aside from Coda. But hey, look, this is a very unique track, and remember, they didn't get to run the full race last year in the Xfinity Series. They only raced like the first 10 laps, and that was it.
And in the Cup race, AJ just got stuck behind traffic. He had a fast car, but he just got stuck behind traffic. It was so hard to pass.
Yeah. So, they've changed things with the road course package and short track package. It's not gonna flood this time. No, I don't even think it's supposed to rain. So,
nope.
It'll be a bright sunny day
all weekend up here.
So it'll be sunny. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. We actually get to see what this track is capable of, without wet weather tires on. So again, I still think that Shane Van Gisbergen gets it done. Just that guy, you know, in my opinion, it's very hard to bet against him. Not to mention, I would just love. I don't know if you saw his paint scheme going into this weekend.
the one the Spicy Nugs car.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god,
dude, that's cool.
That thing is beautiful. Park that thing.
Did you see Bubba's scheme?
Dude, Bubba's scheme is badass.
The Jiu-Jitsu Kaisen car. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, that thing's badass.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some good pictures.
We got some fire ass paint schemes this weekend.
And I'll be on Lakeshore Drive, so if anyone sees me, come say hi. Don't be a stranger.
Yeah. So, it'll be a fun one. If you can't be there and you want to watch the race, make sure that the Xfinity Series race will start 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. And let's see, the Cup race will start 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, both, of course, will be on NBC, big NBC. So,
yep, big NBC next couple weeks.
NBC.
Yep.
So, it'll be a fun one. I'm super stoked for this. I think this is going to be one of the best races. I genuinely thought this is one of the better races from last year as well. But I think, I think it's going to be a great one regardless. So have fun. Enjoy it. Be safe on your trip down there, Mr. Aaron.
Yes, sir. It's only a couple hours, so.
Well.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, driving on the Dan Ryan's awful. So yeah, I'll definitely be on the lookout.
So with that, enjoy it. We will see you next week. And on that one, bye everybody.
Guys.